Good afternoon.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to Trail Talk. Man, we're so glad you could join us. This
You guys can
is,
hear us okay, right?
yeah, right. Yeah, after the other day. Hope nobody was watching them. Yeah, right. Anyway, glad you could join us today. As you can see, we're going to talk about some Oklahoma history heroes. We haven't talked about Oklahoma history heroes in a long time.
I went back and looked.
I did too.
I had to count.
It has been a while.
This is volume 5.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So this is I'm very excited. We've kind of done like authors,
Right.
artists,
Right.
sculptors,
Mhm.
sculptors. We've kind of been really specific.
Categorized.
Yeah, categorized. That's a good word. This time it's just kind of random because we'll show you guys this maybe the next time. I was thinking that during this session in our education program, History Heroes is our focus.
Right. This is what we focus on.
And
And kind of
so-
correlates with our
Yeah,
talks.
yeah. And so I was thinking maybe we do one of these each month that we are on this session.
Right. Okay.
Because y'all, we
haven't even scratched the surface, really.
no, we really have not. At some point, I'm going to show you the map that we put up. We have a map that we have hanging in here,
Mhm.
and we have these little stick pins with yarn.
Mhm.
And so they are there's yarn going all over the place attached to pictures. And so the yarn goes from the picture to the town
Kind of looks like an investigator.
where the person is from. And I know for a fact that we barely
There's been
have
several that have been
touched.
added. We'd have come to light or have done something since. I've even been working here in
Yeah,
that board.
Right,
has
that,
finished
yeah,
it.
yeah, that's true.
So-
We add almost every year.
Right. We could be here for full day.
So I kind of think it'd be fun as you're watching, if you think of someone, drop their
Mhm,
name in the
mhm.
comments, and we will, if we haven't talked about them already,
Mhm.
we will. And if we have talked about them, we'll just kind of do a little
Right.
name drop
Right.
and mention them again.
Mhm.
But I love hearing about new people from Oklahoma.
That's right.
But let's just jump in here. I cannot wait to introduce you guys to this woman. So I am a huge basketball fan. I've always loved basketball.
Mhm.
Every age division
Male, female, college.
it does not
Yeah,
matter.
professional.
I love the game of basketball. It's fast, it's fun, there's a lot of strategy. And it's just very athletic.
Mhm.
It's just such a great game. Well, this woman, Bertha Frank Teague, was one of the most outstanding basketball coaches in
It's
history.
phenomenal of the things she was able to accomplish.
Yes, and she only ever coached at Bing High School.
And actually, never played.
And yes, she
she never
never played the game.
Right, exactly. Kills me.
She was actually
Oh my
she was born in Missouri,
Mhm.
graduated from high school in Arkansas, and then she came to Oklahoma to go to Oklahoma State University. And then after she graduated from there, at some point the information didn't really talk about how she and her husband met.
Right now.
But her husband was hired in 1927. So she was born in 1898. Oh, that's up here. Her husband was hired in 1927 to be a teacher,
Mhm.
I believe. Yeah.
He was a teacher.
In Bing. And so they also hired her to teach first grade.
Yeah.
And then they added to her, any teachers who are watching this, you'll appreciate this. They gave her another responsibility too. And that was to coach the women's basketball team. So she believed a person did not have to play basketball or any other kind of sport to coach, which makes me think she was not an athlete at all.
Right, because she took it as coaching was like teaching any other sport.
Exactly, yeah.
Any subject, I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah. So girls basketball in 1927 was super different from what it is now. I don't know what the uniforms
I was going to say,
look like.
what the uniform. Kind of
But
like.
when
the
I
baseball
played
type thing.
basketball in the 70s and 80s,
Mhm.
it was 6-on-6. It was half court. So you would have 3 forwards on one end and 3 guards on the other end. And then the opposing team, it was flip-flopped, their forwards and their guards. And so you only went to the half court line. If you crossed that line, it was a
There's
penalty. And it was a very a slower game than
Mhm.
what it is now. There was still a lot of strategy, but I can remember, I think it was Oklahoma State University coming to my hometown
Mhm.
and playing a 5-on-5 game.
Yeah.
And we were all just in awe. I was probably in middle school age at that time. We were in awe that women were allowed to
The
run
full court.
the whole court and that they could play. And there was a lot of talk on both sides. Women's, it'll never work. It'll be
Right.
too
How it always
slow.
is. Yes.
Women can't handle
can't do it.
I mean, the
Uh-huh,
whole
right.
thing. But I have a feeling that not just being half court 6-on-6 basketball, I bet in 1927
There
it
was a world
was
of difference.
a world of
Yes.
difference because she had a large role in modernizing the sport first here in Oklahoma, then at a national level, and actually established the first girls basketball clinic in the Southwest.
Right.
And that's capital Southwest, so that means of the United
Right.
States.
That's not just here in Oklahoma.
Exactly. Her teams won. Y'all buckle
Yeah,
up.
yeah. And listen, we are not mistakenly speaking. You hear us
Right.
correctly here.
8 state championships, 22 regional titles, 27 district titles, and 38 conference titles. She made 22 state tournaments
Mhm.
and had 5 undefeated seasons
Right.
and a 98 consecutive game winning streak from 1936 to 1938. She was known as Mrs. Basketball of Oklahoma.
Mhm.
And that record of the most
Good.
wins held until 1991.
So started what, when 38? And
30
36?
start, well,
That was
first
last year.
36 through
Yeah.
38, yeah. She compiled a record of
Yes.
1,157 wins, 115 losses. How many years did she coach? Did it
Let's see.
42 years?
Yes, 42 years.
Now, in 42 years of basketball, she lost 115.
First of all,
games.
can you imagine even coaching for 42 years?
No. Okay. Yeah. First of all,
Yeah, I mean,
that's
that's a feat in itself.
right. But only losing 115
Can you
games
imagine
over that
seeing
period
them on the
of
schedule,
time.
be like, oh, well.
Right. No.
We might as well go ahead and make other plans, guys.
Can you imagine playing for
Oh,
me?
my. Yeah.
Those women
I bet that
put
was
those
tough.
uniforms
Mhm.
on with pride, and I guarantee you they filled up the gym.
Oh, yes. And can you imagine if the influx, I'm sure, maybe
Oh,
in
yeah.
the school system itself.
Everyone wanted to watch her coach, watch her teams play.
Mhm.
Gosh, that would have been so great. I would have loved
I wonder
that.
if she kind of took it on as like, coaches coming in trying to figure out her strategy and how it worked. If she took that as like a more secretive, she tried to keep it secret, or she was more open.
I
to it?
bet she was open.
The way
She did the basketball clinic
things,
and all
that's the way
that.
I think too.
I bet she was willing to
Right.
share because she saw it.
As this sport growing,
Yes,
Mhm.
this is her opportunity
right.
to help
Not
This-
just me type deal.
this game,
Right.
yeah, become something greater. And wow, did she ever?
Yes.
I can only imagine the thrill she would have had if she could have seen
The
professional
way it is now.
basketball, women playing basketball in the Olympics.
Right. Well, she
You
had a
know.
hand in that.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, she did.
I love it. Bertha Teague. She authored a book called Basketball for Girls that was one of the most respected early manuals on women's basketball.
Mhm.
Well, it says several of her players went on to play professionally.
Right.
I wonder where they
Where
had
they went,
professional
yeah, where
women's
they gone?
basketball. That's going to be worth a little deep dive. I'm going to
When
have
was
to
the book
do.
written? She died in 91.
Yeah, she died in 91.
So,
anyway, she is a woman worth mentioning, a woman worth studying.
And if she's on the basketball court, a woman to fear.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Yes.
Bertha Teague from Bean, Oklahoma. I mean, she was an Oklahoma transplant. She chose to stay here.
So the women's professional basketball league started in 1978.
Okay, so there must have been like little professional. Probably
Maybe when
like
she was
a
in
league
high
of their own,
right.
where they had the little, just a few teams in a baseball situation where they played
Maybe,
baseball.
right.
Maybe they had
And then it
a
grew.
few teams. It probably was around and then it was gone,
Yeah.
and then around and gone. It probably
Mhm.
until 78. Is that what you said, Emery? Thank you. Our
fact checker.
our fact checker, stat man.
Keeps it straight right there.
Yeah. All right. So the next person is a man named Steve Marino. Now, he was born here in Oklahoma. So like it or not, he is an Okie by
Yep.
birth.
Altus.
Yeah, born in Altus. He was a military brat. His dad was in the Air Force, that Air Force base out there in Altus. And obviously went on to become a professional golfer. Now, after I did the research, I kind of hesitated to share. I mean, I feel like he was a great competitor and well-known,
Mhm.
very
Right,
well-known,
exactly.
well-respected
Yes.
on the
Yes.
course. Wait,
Yes.
on the links. You know, as the golfers say, on the tour.
links.
Yeah, yeah. But he was, he just had a little bit of bad luck. He just couldn't finish.
Just couldn't.
I mean,
Yeah,
he
there's
just,
something about that. Golf though, it's mental. It's all
Yeah.
mental.
yeah.
I mean, I've
that's so
found anything
true.
out, that's true.
I mean, you gotta have that ability. It's a skill set to,
Mhm.
to
Chase a ball around.
well, and to hit it where you want it to
Yes.
go and the distance and to know
Mhm.
which iron to use
Yes,
and all
And the way
that.
the land lays.
Yes,
I mean.
there, it takes a lot of thought, a lot of
yes, it
practice,
does.
but
And discipline.
When it
Because you
comes-
want out there throwing
when it
stuff.
comes down to the one-on-one and the final
Oh, yeah.
thing.
The pressure wasn't high enough already.
Yeah, so at 14 though, I guess it was kind of obvious he had the skills
Mhm.
that it took, and he
Right.
was the Virginia state champion.
High school champion.
In high school,
Mhm.
and received a scholarship to play for the University of Virginia in
Right,
Charlottesville,
right,
which
right.
is their main campus. And at the end of the freshman year, he won the Virginia Amateur Championship.
Mhm.
And then in his rookie season in 2007, now this is on the tour. So
Right.
he graduated from UVA in 2002.
Mhm.
So it took him 5 years to make it to the tour, which does not sound like that long.
No, it really didn't.
I have
It
a
really
feeling some people, it takes a longer time
mhm.
to really get on the,
Right.
with the big
They're
dogs.
established there.
But in 2008, his second year in the tour, his winnings exceeded 1.1 million. We were talking about this earlier.
Mhm.
His winnings exceeded $1.1 million for the year, and he was 80th.
80th.
He was ranked 80th,
Mhm.
I guess, in
In the tour.
dollar
In the
winnings.
winnings.
In the dollar.
In the PGR.
Over $1 million in 1 year, and he was 80th
Mhm.
in 2008. That was a long time ago,
Yes, it
y'all.
was.
That's so much money.
It is.
The
I don't know
next
if anybody else
year,
should be placed 80th and come that
Yeah.
close or that much money.
the next year, he moved all the way up to 34, which was way,
Tremendous.
way up there.
Mhm.
And he made over $2 million that year, and he was still 34th. I
And
just,
it should be said too, you have to earn your card every year. It's not just a given that once you're on the tour, you stay.
yeah,
You know, you have to be ranked so much, I think, to keep on the tour,
to get to
Right,
go
you
to
know, to play the tournaments. things.
yeah. So, anyway, he had 6 top 10 finishes in 32 events,
Mhm.
highlighted by a career best second place finish.
Mayakoba Golf Classic.
Yeah, in Cancun.
Mhm.
He had lots of close
Yes,
finishes,
he did.
lots of them. I mean,
Playoffs.
yeah, tied for second. I mean,
Mhm.
had a playoff for first, and I mean, kind of choked,
I know.
honestly.
It's like, poor guy.
I know, it feels so bad, but let's see, Marino was identified as the best PGA Tour player without a victory by
Yes.
Craig Dolch, who noted that he has posted 21 top 10 finishes in 124 tour starts to date. Now that was dated, that was a few years ago.
Exactly.
But in 2012, he had a bone
Bone
contusion
Tibial
in
femur
his
in his leg.
leg. And so he was off the tour for like 5 or 6
Mhm,
months that
right.
year. But anyway, I think he's had, he was winless in 182 events on the PGA Tour,
Hmm.
as in 2016.
Yes.
So that was like 6 years ago. I don't know if he's continued to play. That name doesn't really ring a bell with me.
No, I mean, I know the name just from
Mhm.
past maybe, but.
Right,
don't
I
think
mean,
it's
but
something
I mean,
outdoor.
he's a competitor.
Mhm.
He's been out there
And
playing.
you know
for a
what?
long
He
time.
never did, but come out to win. He still played.
And
He was
he's
still out there trying.
honestly, y'all, he did well.
Yeah.
I mean, financially,
Yeah.
I know it costs a lot to practice.
Yes,
and
and all that. It is an expensive game to
Right,
play.
right, but still, anyway, Steve Marino,
Mhm.
Okie by birth,
Mhm.
even though they left when he was still really young, they left Oklahoma.
That's right.
We're proud to call him one of our history.
It's on his
heroes.
birth certificate, y'all.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so Jean Kirkpatrick is not just an Oklahoma history hero. She is a United States history hero.
Mhm.
And she was born in Duncan and lived here for the first 12 years of her life. She was a phenomenal asset to many presidents.
Mhm.
And we'll just start going through her many
She's a
accolades.
force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, she was inducted to the Oklahoma Hall of Fame in 1982. Now you'll notice she lived until 2006.
Mhm.
So this was in 1982. She wasn't in her 30s in 1982. Isn't that right? 40s. 50s. She was in her 50s. Math is just not working for me today, y'all.
30, 40. Stop me
She
when I
was
get
in her
there.
50s. She was in her 50s. But a fun fact about her is that Ronald Reagan read an article that she wrote, and this was before he announced he was running as president.
Yes, exactly.
Reached out to her and asked, it said send her a long fan letter, is how it was worded. And asked her to join his presidential
Yeah.
campaign. She was a lifelong Democrat, but she coached him all the way through his
Mhm.
campaign. And
Right.
as we know, he won
Right.
and served consecutively.
Mhm. He invited her
terms.
also to join on and the United Nations ambassador.
Yeah, and when she joined, when he won in
Mhm.
1980, she was the only woman to sit
Mhm.
in the 154 member UN
Yeah.
council.
Thus, she can hold her own.
Yeah, and as we said, the only Democrat to
Mhm.
serve on Reagan's cabinet. She also later served with George W. Bush.
Right.
So I'm gonna say that this was a day that we should yearn for. When Democrats could respect and work for Republicans, and Republicans could respect the ideas.
Yeah. Instead of the line in the sand being drawn and
Exactly.
not even gonna talk. to
I
us
mean,
like that.
I feel like this is a beautiful
Mhm.
story of
Mhm.
people working together for the common good.
Mhm.
There was a quote, she said, I had a wonderful Oklahoma childhood. My family imbued me with the frontier spirit. It is a can-do spirit. The frontier ethic that you can do anything, everything, always. That's what I heard. Jean, you can do that. I was always told doing something well is just a matter of trying harder. I love that so
Mhm.
much.
Mhm.
I love that her parents just gave her the
Right.
encouragement that she
There's
needed.
nothing you can't do.
So, after they left Duncan, they moved to Illinois, and she got oh, dang it, what is that? A two-year degree called? It's not, no,
Associate.
an associate. She earned an associate's degree, and then a bachelor's degree, and then a master's degree, and then her
Then
PhD.
went on and went
Yeah.
on.
She married Evron Kirkpatrick,
Mhm.
and he was involved with the American Enterprise Institute, worked for the State Department as a research analyst. So I think they were both just like really brainiacs.
Yes, just like totally
Yeah.
in their minds all the time.
But prior to working for Ronald Reagan, she did so much. She worked at in Human Resources Research Office at George Washington University, the American Council for Learned Societies, Department of State, Defense, Health, Education, and Welfare. She taught at Trinity College in Washington.
Right.
She was a associate professor of political science at Georgetown.
Levy Professor, Foundation of American
Yeah.
Freedom.
She just, I mean, it goes on and on.
She never had a down day. I mean, she just,
Right?
you know, she never took a day off. She
Yeah,
never took I mean,
it was all, she just kept moving.
the engine that could.
Yeah, she served on the president's Foreign Intelligence Advisory Board, chaired the Secretary of Defense Commission on fail-safe and risk reduction from 91 to 92. So this is when, let's see, 88 to 92. So that was H.W. Bush. That was when he was president.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then George W. Bush appointed her as representative of the United States from the Human Rights Commission with the United Nations. She was, I guess you'd call her like an ultra I don't know, scholar or just like the go-to person on foreign policy.
Okay.
You know,
Like
she's
the,
like she's like the person who,
The guru,
the goat.
yeah. There you go.
She was the goat
She was good at policy. Yes.
foreign policy.
Yes.
So she was serving 80s, 90s. And so she was in these offices or serving at this time during like the Cold
I was
War
gonna say, yes.
kind of stuff, you know.
Reagan and.
Yeah, and all of that stuff. So she had a strong opinion about Russia and their policies. She was anti-communist, and yet she had a tolerance for authoritarian regimes as long as they supported the US.
As long as.
I mean, that kind of gives you the notion that she was a politician to a degree.
Right.
I mean, she was like, you know, she wrote 15 books. She wrote 15
She never did
books,
have a day off. She never ever had a day.
about women in politics and just foreign policy.
Authoritarian regimes taught. I mean.
Yeah. I mean,
the Iran Contra affairs too.
yeah, yeah, that was another thing.
Yes.
This sounded scandalous. And so I want to give you both sides. She, in the mid-80s, she was involved in the Iran Contra affair, and where the weapons were secretly sold to Iran and the funds were diverted to Contra rebels in Nicaragua.
That's
Kind
all
of a sketchy,
wasn't it?
yeah, kind of a
Yes.
little sketchy
Right,
time in
right.
US history.
Mhm.
And somehow she was involved in that. I didn't deep dive on that part. But I just, I mean, I think that because of her belief system and her studies of foreign policy, there was some kind of good that she saw in that situation, or she would not have participated. That does not mean she was right, or that the whole situation was handled properly.
Right.
I'm just saying that I feel like she probably believed.
Was in it for the good.
Yeah, that, you know,
Right.
I didn't see anything where she was ever trying to raise herself.
Through all of that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
It was- yeah.
you know, I mean, I don't know her for sure. I don't know those things, but that's kind of the takeaway.
Well, sometimes people just get caught up in things that they don't even realize is going on behind
Well,
the scenes too,
that-
you know.
yeah, that is true.
Kind of thing.
That is true too. But, not just Oklahoma's own, Duncan's own,
Yes.
Jean Kirkpatrick. What a rise to acclaim from Duncan, Oklahoma.
Ma'am.
You too can do that.
You
Duncan.
too should be.
Yeah, a
All of
US
those things.
ambassador,
Man.
just, yeah.
Mhm.
And then the last person, this was a surprise
Man, yes.
one to
I
me.
know.
Bill Moyers, one of
Crazy.
the most recognized voices and names in broadcast journalism,
Yes.
was born in Hugo, Oklahoma.
June 5th, 1934.
I find that to just be phenomenal.
Mhm.
I love it so much. So his family later moved to Texas. Unfortunately, no, just
So we
kidding.
always leave.
I don't
leave.
know. I don't know. But anyway, he was initially he was going to be a Baptist minister, and he even went to seminary at Southwestern Seminary in Dallas and graduated from there. But while he was he got a master's of divinity, but he was studying journalism at the University of Texas
Yes.
at the same time. Then he joined the Peace Corps, which I just thought, man, this guy, this is really an
Yeah,
interesting
right.
course that he took. And then following that time, he served as press secretary for Lyndon Johnson after the Kennedy assassination. But then he really focused on journalism,
Yes.
just kind of gave his
Kinda
life. to
zeroed in
that.
on that.
He married a woman, her name was Judith Davidson Moyers. And together, I think they were just like
Mhm,
journalism's
right,
powerhouse couple.
Yes.
You know, they
Mhm.
had institutes and all kinds of
Shared that love of it
programs
all together.
that
too.
they produced over the years. Anyway, he was on PBS, a program called Bill Moyers Journal
Mhm.
at several different times, 72 to 76, 79 to 81, 07 to 10, and he was on CBS News from 81 to 86.
Mhm.
So a kind of a storied career, really.
Yeah. Well, quite the little what it is, his resume.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Public affairs series. I mean, you know, a very serious journalist.
Yes, it wasn't like Entertainment Tonight or,
Right. So
Inquiry.
he got his start as a cub reporter at the age of 16 in Marshall, Texas. He was also the founding organizer and deputy director of the Peace Corps and special assist. Well, we already said that part. So he was like on the ground floor of the Peace Corps. I think, wasn't Kennedy the one who created the Peace
I
Corps?
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Moyers was in on that part
Mhm.
and then worked for Johnson. So he was a Democrat, I'm gonna guess. Not that I think that has anything
Right.
to do with any of
Right.
his career, but so he worked with had writers working for him.
Yes,
He
yes.
published Newsday. Daniel Patrick Moynihan and Saul Bellow. Those are both big name
Yes. big.
Time reporters.
Uh-huh.
And the paper won 2 Pulitzer Prizes. He was okay. Here's where the awards start.
Yeah, here we go.
This is crazy.
Crazy.
30 Emmys,
More than 30, yes.
more than 30. Yeah.
Yes.
2 prestigious Alfred DuPont Columbia University Awards,
9 Peabodys.
9 Peabodys, 3 George Polk Awards. And in the first year it was bestowed, he received the prestigious Honorary Doctor of Fine Arts by the American Film
Mhm.
Institute. He was a fellow for the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, received the Career Achievement Award for the International Documentary Association, and has been honored by the Television Critics Association for as outstanding career achievement. Elected to the Television Hall of Fame in 1995, received the Charles Frankel Prize, which is the National Humanities Award. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. What a great contributor to,
Man.
you know, I don't know if he was a part of like these breaking stories or not,
Right.
but I just feel like he has been the constant, you know,
The go-to.
this is the news and we are
Mhm,
reporting this
mhm.
and here's, you
Yeah.
know, the Museum of Broadcast Communications called him one of the few broadcast journalists who might be said to approach the stature of Edward R. Murrow. If Murrow founded broadcast journalism, Moyer significantly extended its
Can
traditions.
you imagine having that said about you?
Yeah. I mean, what an honor.
Yes.
And just to think he got his start right here in Oklahoma. So as always, I think it's important for us to just remember that Oklahoma is not just a flyover state. Or
There's
just
farmers,
right, yeah. This is a place where people get their start in life, and the stars are the limit.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you're from. I mean, these people all went into different directions.
Yes.
So just because we're from Oklahoma doesn't mean you're set to go into the farming,
Right,
industry.
or just live in a small town and waste your life
Yes,
away. I
yes.
mean, I think sometimes Oklahomans are portrayed like that,
Mhm.
and we are so much more.
Oh, yes.
And we have so much
much
more
off.
to give the world.
Yes.
And I love telling you guys about these people who have really made their mark in the world,
Mhm.
who in some way called Oklahoma home.
Yes. We're still
Yeah.
talking about them. Some of them have been
Exactly.
around for several years,
Right.
They were still here talking about it.
Right. So, just keep looking. I'd love to hear names from you
I know.
guys. I think
I think
that'd
some
be
people
fun.
don't realize how many people are actually from Oklahoma.
Yeah, and like I said, we're gonna hit this again and
Mhm.
again. So be ready for some more. Tomorrow we are going to redo the LaQuincy Reed Trail Talk. And it'll start at 4 o'clock, and then at 6 o'clock is the reception that we're having, because he is our featured artist for January and
Opening
February.
reception.
And it'll be from 6 to 8.
Mhm.
Come and go,
Mhm.
meet the artist,
Hors d'oeuvres.
hors d'oeuvres, see his, what, it's free.
Phenomenal.
It'll kind of be the social event of the week here in Duncan.
That's where you're gonna want to
sure.
be and all.
Everybody who's
We'll
anybody
put you on the guest
be
list.
here. Anyway, no, I would really love for you guys to come by, because we're gonna unveil a very significant piece of
Yes,
art
yes.
tomorrow night at the reception just after 6. So you don't want to miss
Mm.
that. Anyway, thanks for watching Trail Talk. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Happy
trails.
trails.